Hello, Charity. We can hear you.
All right. I see we are 9 of us, including our speaker, the host, and you, Katile. I don't know. How many people are we expecting to have? Hello, Katile.
Around 28.
Around 28.
Yeah, but you can start maybe at 7:15
Uh-huh.
as the others join. I think we can just start.
Yeah. Okay, let's all right then. We'll just begin now. The rest will join us on the way. And
Yeah.
so my name is Charity Mutiwa. I'm your moderator today. Today's topic is on the first 100 days of a baby. And our speaker is Dr. Eno Awa George Stevens. I'd like to invite him to introduce himself and also tell us if where he is. It's evening as well. And yeah, just a brief introduction of himself before we begin. Dr. Eno, the floor is yours.
Yes, hello everyone. I hope you can see me and hear me. So, as you rightly said, Charity, my name is Eno Awa George Stevens, and it's actually evening. Fortunately, I am in Nairobi. I've been in Nairobi for a couple of weeks or months now, and a little bit about myself. I am an obstetrician and gynecologist by training, and also have done a lot of work and research on the sexual reproductive maternal newborn and child health, as well as also worked with a couple of international organizations, first as a consultant with organizations like UNFPA, UNICEF, and currently I work with the International Planned Parenthood Federation called IPPF at the Africa Regional Office as the Senior Advisor for CSE, that is Comprehensive Sexuality Education, and Youth Sexual and Reproductive Health and Rights Programming. I have extensive experience with clinical reproductive, sexual and reproductive care for maternal, newborn, and child health, as well as project management on reproductive health. So currently, I manage a lot of projects on sexual and reproductive health for young people, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, as well as in the Sahel region. And yeah, I think as we move along, I will be able to share more insights about my experience and expertise. But yeah, I work in the domain of sexual and reproductive health, and that's where I excel. So I think for now, that is what I can say about myself. And along the lines of the presentation, I could get to talk more about my insights and experience. I don't know how the session would look like in terms of logistics. If I'm just going to present, but really I wanted us to have a very interactive session, where we discuss more of facilitation than me just, would I say, presenting. I don't want this to be like a classical lecture, like what we have in the university settings or in medical school, but more of, a discussion, to go through this process of a baby and how it looks like. I think it would be very interesting if we try to make it more or less like a discussion than a classical presentation. Even though I have a presentation to give out, but I feel it will be very interesting for us to ask questions, to engage, and also wherever you have doubts in terms of the newborn, you might of course ask questions or just drop them in the chat box. But I don't know how the session will look like. Of course, Madam the moderator, you have the the floor to decide how the session will look like. Thank you, and over to you, Charity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eno, for the introduction. Actually, I think it would be best if we have the session as interactive as possible, at least so that everyone can participate and learn. So it's okay. We can be we can discuss as much as we can. It's okay. Yeah.
So, do I go ahead with my presentation or we want to give more time for others to join? How many hours is this session?
It's scheduled for 2, that is 7
Okay.
to 9 p.m.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we can
Okay.
work with the time that's remaining. So
Okay. So, do I start or do we give time for others to join? I have it's not very long, not very long, but I feel that also I would want to finish fast so that we have time for discussion, for interaction. You know, each at every slide, if you have a question, I would just suggest that you might just put it on the chat box so you don't forget. You know, a question might pop up once you see a slide, and you might want to just put the question in the chat box. Then, once I'm done, of course, we can come back to the questions or comments as well. So, I don't know, Charity, if I should begin or we should give some time for others to join.
we can begin. Since
Okay.
the session is being recorded, they can get the recording and view maybe if there's any section they've missed. It's
All
okay.
right.
We can begin.
Okay, fine. So permit me share my screen. Oh, sorry. I hope you can see my screen now. Okay, if you can see my screen, please just let me know because okay. So today I'll be talking about the first 100 days of a baby, you know. And I wanted to begin this presentation with this quote. Say time is like a river. You cannot touch the same water twice because the flow that passed will never pass again. So enjoy every moment of your life. And within this presentation, you realize why I said so. You know, but I feel that time is like a river, and every moment of your life has to be enjoyed. You know, live every moment, every second, as though it were your last on earth. So I'll begin with this statement, and of course, I was requested to talk on the 100 days of life of a baby. You know, the first 100 day of a life of a baby. So as I said, my name is Eno. I'm a reproductive health consultant and now a youth specialist for CSE and youth SRHR programming with the International Planned Parenthood Federation, Africa Regional Office. So before we start, I want to first of all start with the basics, you know, for us to understand who a baby is, because there are various terms that are attributed to the newborn, you know, and also just for you to know that uh, there's a lot that occurs within the uterus of a mother. Sorry, I'll be using some very medical terms, and if you don't understand, please always put them in the chat box and I'll clarify. So, after conception, conception means that the sperm has met the egg and there is fertilization. And when there is fertilization, there is conception. So, after conception, there are a lot of changes that occur for you to have a fetus. A fetus grows in the womb of a mother. In medical terms, we call it the uterus. And after a period of about 37 to 40 weeks, the woman puts to birth. She puts to birth through some rhythmic actions of the uterus called contractions. And so this woman puts to birth what we call a baby. Everybody calls it a baby. But in medicine, we call it a neonate. It means a child who has been born. In medicine, we call it a neonate. But in English, we call it a baby. So I want us to first of all understand these different terminologies as we move along, because they will mean different periods of life in the life of a baby. So a neonate will be very different from an early neonate, from a late neonate, from a newborn, you know, from a child, and even a baby. They have different meanings. So, after delivery, I will not want to go within before delivery, what happens in the uterus before delivery. But there's a lot of changes from fertilization to conception, the product of conception moves from the woman's fallopian tubes and gets into the uterus. What grows, what is formed, is called a zygote. When a zygote is formed, you have an embryo. From an embryo, you have a fetus. From a fetus, now you have a neonate. So, what is a neonate? From the period of birth up to 4 weeks of life is a neonate. That is less than 28 days. It's a neonate. So, for the first weeks of life, you will call that baby a neonate. But the period between the first day right up to the first 28 days, they are divided into three. You have the early neonatal period and the late neonatal period. As I said, it is a neonate, but it is divided into two. The first 7 days, you call it the early neonatal period. And from 7 to 28 days, you call it late neonatal period. So, with a baby that is born, if that baby has an infection, you will say that baby has an early neonatal infection or a late neonatal infection. If you look at this picture, you will see the difference between two babies. If you look at these two babies, you will see something, you will realize something. That this, in terms of the ages, or in terms of the longevity on Earth, you will see that the baby on the right hand side is different from the baby on the left hand side. Now, something you should know is that when a baby is born, the first thing the baby do is to cry. And that reflex is very important because that is what opens the airways of the baby. So, now, we have what we call a live born. A live born is a production of conception irrespective of the weight or gestational age after separation of the mother. So whether you have a premature baby, an underweight baby, an overweight baby, once that baby is born alive, it's a live born, regardless of the weight or the gestational age. Why am I saying so? Some babies are born at 37 weeks. Some are born at even 32 weeks. In Europe, we have babies born at 30 weeks. And you can have others born at even 40, 41 weeks. So irrespective of the gestational age or of the weight of the baby, that baby is a live born. Now, I want you to understand the difference. We have different kinds of weight that the baby might have. A baby with a weight less than 2.5 is an underweight baby or a premature baby. A baby with weight between 2.5 and 3.5, that is the normal weight of a baby. A baby at 4 kilograms is a big baby. And a baby above 4 kilograms is what we call a macrosomic baby. It's called in medicine macrosomia. So those are the different characteristics of weight that can determine whether that baby is a normal baby, is a big baby, is a macrosomic baby, or is a premature baby. So dear friends, dear participants, as I move along, if you have any questions, please put them on the chat box. I really want us to discuss and really understand the life of a baby. Now, we have what we call stillbirth. Stillbirth is a very important component in the life of a baby or the product of conception. Stillbirth is the fetal death of the product of conception after separation from the mother. So after this baby separates, or this product, while I will not call it a baby because it is a fetus in the uterus. So after this fetus separates from the mother and comes out dead, it is called a stillbirth. And it is defined based on the context. Above 24 weeks in Europe is a stillbirth. But in Africa, it is still a problem. Remember, I would want to define the term abortion because I cannot talk about stillbirth without talking about abortion. Abortion is the termination of pregnancy before the age of fetal viability. In Africa, it is less than 28 weeks. But in Europe, it is less than 24 weeks. So that is abortion, the termination of pregnancy before the age of fetal viability. You should know that a fetus or the product of conception, the heart of this fetus starts beating at week 4. So we say this conception is viable from the 4th week when the heart starts beating. So that's what we call a stillbirth, because you always hear people talk about the stillbirth. And you should understand the difference, the various types of abortion, and also the meaning of stillbirth, because usually people just confuse it. Stillbirth, miscarriage, abortion, they join it to become one. You know, and each time they hear abortion, you are a criminal. It is not correct. All right. So we have what we call a term baby, a baby at term. A baby at term is a newborn baby between 37 to 42 weeks of complete gestation. So that's the term baby. So usually, averagely, every woman that is pregnant at 37 weeks, contractions will step in, usually between 37 to 42 weeks. Below that, it could happen to have a preterm baby. So below 37 weeks. So you have women that have contractions before preterm labor. Actually, that's the word I was looking for. It is called preterm labor. So the contraction sets in before 37 weeks. But a term baby is between 37 to 42 weeks, while a preterm baby is less than 37 weeks of gestation, irrespective of birth weight, because usually there are babies that are born below 37 weeks that have a normal birth weight. So irrespective of the birth weight of the baby, once it's less than 37 weeks, it's a preterm baby. And usually it will require more care, because this baby will need at times to be incubated. Now, post-term you have a newborn at gestation age from 24 to 42 weeks or more. Above 42 weeks, you say it is post-term. So, we also have a low birth weight baby. A low birth weight baby, I told you, is a baby below 2.5 kg, irrespective of gestational age. That's 2,500 grams. So below 2.5 kilograms, that baby is a low birth weight baby. And that is why all babies born will their weight will be taken, to know if they are low birth weight, if they are within the normal birth weight. And now you have the very low birth weight, less than 1.5 kilograms. There you have a very low weight baby. And for that one, you will definitely need an incubator to be able to help this baby develop further before the baby can withstand the outside environment. So you also have extremely low birth weight babies. These are babies below 1,000 grams or 1 kilograms. And some of these babies will survive. Well, if there are good conditions for the baby could still survive. Now you have the perinatal period. The perinatal period is a period that extends from 22 weeks of gestation to 7 days of life after birth. So you call that one perinatal. I want you to understand these terms because they are important. Peri, it means around. Perimeter, like a perimeter. So it means around. From 22 weeks of gestation till 7 days after life. That's perinatal period. So around that period. Now, neonatal mortality rate is the death of infants under first 28 days of life. So when you say the government of Kenya says we have a neonatal mortality rate of say 52 per 100 live birth, that means that we are talking about babies that are below 28 days of life that have died. And you have the postnatal period. Postnatal period is the period of infancy from 28 days to under. That's the post-neonatal period. Now, a newborn. This is what is very interesting. A newborn. With newborn, you have, I will talk about the immediate care of the newborn and the essential care of the newborn. A newborn, a child that has been put to bed now. Immediate care of the newborn. You know that when a child is being put to birth, there's a lot of things that happen for the baby to be born. A lot of things that happen, from contraction of the uterus to opening of the cervix, to opening of the birth canal for the baby to come out. But all of this might seem very easy, but takes a lot of process. And that is why you will always hear when a woman is in labor, you hear she is at 2 centimeters cervical dilatation. She's at 5 centimeters cervical dilatation. She's at 8 centimeters cervical dilatation. Until she arrives 10 centimeters cervical dilatation, that is when now she is fit. She is at the time of bearing down. Bearing down means the baby has to come out. Now, I am talking about a vaginal birth. I'm talking about a vaginal birth. So when a baby is born, is someone saying something? Okay, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? Was somebody saying something?
I think it's someone who unmuted mistakenly.
Okay, Charity, please always help me if there's anything in the background because I don't see the screen.
It's all right.
Okay, fine. So, I was talking about the immediate care of the newborn. So, a healthy infant born at term, we spoke about the term, from 37 to 42 weeks, should averagely have a weight, usually is 2.5 kg, to 3.5. And immediately, the baby does what? The baby cries. And as I told you, the cry of the baby is very important. Traditionally, they will say, "Welcome to the world of suffering." That is traditionally, or, culturally. But medically, that reflex of crying really opens up the airways of the baby. So that crying is extremely important. And the baby quickly adapts to the changing environment. Because take note, the environment in the mother's uterus is different from the outside environment. The temperatures differ. That is why the first thing that will happen is that the baby will cry. The baby gains autonomy. When the baby is in the mother's uterus, the baby depends on the mother. The baby breathes, gets in oxygen through the mother. But when the baby is born, the baby gains autonomy. Now, 2 classifications. We have care at birth and care at the nursery. I will not talk about care at the nursery because care at the nursery are abnormal circumstances. There are circumstances where the baby is underweight, the baby is premature. I'll focus more at care at birth. Now, care at birth, soon after delivery, baby should be covered with a clean, dry linen. Immediately after delivery. But what do you also do? Usually, we give the baby directly to the mother. Once we deliver the baby, the first thing to do is that we give the baby to the mother. We put the baby on the mother so that we improve contact between the mother and the baby. We make sure that we clean the passage, the airways of the baby. You do some suction because usually amniotic fluid can block the airway of the baby. So both the mouth and the nostrils, we suck. There's a suction machine that sucks that. You also want to know how the baby is doing. And you can also know that using what we call the APGAR scoring. The APGAR scoring. The APGAR scoring is to understand the baby's state. That is how you can know when the baby is fine or not. And this APGAR scoring is graded on 5. And after that, you decipher the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord is the connection between the mother. That's what connects the mother and the baby. So when you clamp, you tie, and you cut. Usually we give vitamin K to stop bleeding, to improve clotting factors, And of course, as I said, we must always give the baby to the mother to initiate breastfeeding and to improve contact between the baby and the mother, that bond, you know. So, this is what you see. So, this midwife or gynecologist or obstetrician or clinical officer is holding a suction tube and is trying to suck the mouth of the baby and the nostrils, because you want to suck every fluid that the baby might have ingested while in the uterus or during the birth process. Remember, there are babies that can be in the birth canal for more than 5 hours because labor takes a longer time based on the parity of that woman. Parity means how many times have you been pregnant. Your first pregnancy will be different from your second pregnancy, will be different from your third pregnancy. And so labor for first pregnancy will take a longer time than labor for second and third pregnancy. That is why it is important to always check the baby. Are there any malformations? Are there any deformations? Is the baby all right? Is the baby crying? Is the baby having grimace? You know, all of these are ways in which we analyze to know whether this baby is fine or not. Next thing is to maintain temperature. As I told you, the temperature that the baby was in the mother's uterus is slightly above that out of, you know, the uterus. Usually, the temperature out of the uterus is lower than that in the uterus, and so you want to maintain that kind of a temperature so the baby does not go into a hypo, in a thermal shock, you know. So, as I told you, we must grade the state of the baby using what we call APGAR, the APGAR score. And the APGAR score is trying to look at respiration, crying, reflex, irritability, pulse, heart rate, skin color. Some babies are born and they are very yellowish. It is a problem. Look at the extremities. You look at the muscle tone. You put your finger into the baby's hands. Does the baby grip your hands? It's called grimace. Can the baby grip your hands? Those are very important ways in which we score and grade APGAR score. So if that score is low, there is a problem. So this is the APGAR score. This is how we grade the APGAR score. I will not go into these details, but just for you to know that it is important for a newborn. So this is still the score interpretation. So usually we say after delivery, we grade it as, because it increases. You could have 5, 6, 10. You grade it at the first minute of birth, the 5th minute of birth, and the 10th minute of birth. So it depends on, if you grade it at the first minute of birth and you have a score of 10 on 10, then the baby is fine. But if the first minute of birth you have maybe 4 on 10, there's a problem. Usually we begin with 7. You have 7 on 10 the first minute, 5th minute you have 9 on 10, and the 10th minute you have 10 on 10. Then that baby is fine. So you see this grading. 7 to 10, that baby is well. But 4 to 6, that baby needs intensive care. When you have 0 to 3, it's very serious. There we are going to a reanimation for that baby. It means that baby is in a critical state and needs immediate action. If not, you will lose that baby. And you should know that babies, if not taken care of properly at birth, can die. I have seen that happen 3 times. I have seen it like that live. The baby goes completely bluish and the baby dies. So if you don't take immediate action, that baby can die. It's a very crucial stage in the life of a growing baby. So again, this to show you how the cord is being clamped. Of course, it's a very important process to clamp the cord. Now, studies have proven that it's important to give some time for blood to flow before you decipher the cord. Usually, it has proven that the cord which is left for about 5 minutes improves the hemoglobin, the hemoglobin level of the baby. But those that are deciphered very fast can decrease the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is just the blood level in literal terms, you know. Except the mother has some kind of infection, which you don't want to transmit to the baby. But apart from that, it's always important to give some time before you decipher the code. So that is it. You inject vitamin K. Okay. And now there's a very important aspect in the life of a newborn called breastfeeding. I know we are in modern days, modern times, where ladies, women, girls, females say, I don't want my breast to fall, so I will not breastfeed my baby. I would extract it and give my baby. Breastfeeding is extremely important. And the first 72 hours of life, there is a particular breast milk that flows from a woman. It is grayish yellowish. It is called colostrum. Colostrum is extremely important for the baby because it has immunoglobulins that protects and provides immunity to this baby. It is recommended, according to WHO, that a woman breastfeeds her baby exclusively for 6 months. When I mean exclusively, I say no other food apart from breast milk. Breast milk contains all the essential nutrients a baby requires for the next 6 months. So the best food for a baby from birth to 6 months is breast milk. Exclusively for 6 months. After 6 months, you could do other things, whether you are giving ugali or you are giving, I don't know, corn fufu, or you are giving whatever you are giving, that's on you. But the first 6 months, give that baby breast milk. Very important. And the first, as I said, first 72 hours, you have what we call colostrum, which is very important for the baby. So we always encourage, we even teach women, primiparous women, how to breastfeed their babies, how to hold their babies. Because usually some women will say, when I hold my baby, the baby will bite me, I feel pain on my nipples. All of that happens due to wrong positioning. And positioning is a whole course. We teach mothers how to hold the baby, to breastfeed the baby. It's a whole training on itself. And it's very important. So, this is the importance of breastfeeding. You see, look at a breastfed baby. You see? Better brain development, better vision, fewer ear and respiratory infections, fewer skin allergies and less eczema, healthier heart, significant reduction in risk of SIDs, less tummy trouble, fewer food allergies. Breast milk is natural. It's the best you can give for your baby. So, breast milk is medicine for babies born early. It contains special ingredients not available in formula. It is the best for the baby. So I always encourage mothers, encourage postpartum women, breastfeed your baby. Give that breast milk to the baby. Tell your husband, your partner, whosoever, that forget about my breast for now. This breast now belongs to this baby. And your body is made in such a way that after delivery, your breast enlarges. And you have prolactin, a hormone that initiates milk production for the baby. And oxytocin, another hormone, helps in ejecting milk. So that is for the baby. Give that baby the breast milk. Now, also, usually, the baby could lose heat. And that is why it's always good to cover the baby, keep the baby warm. And this is just to show you the various mechanisms through which a baby can lose heat. And this is in physics. For those of you who did physics probably in secondary school, you would know some of these terms: conduction, convection, evaporation, and radiation. They are all forms of losing heat. But again, most important thing, always keep the baby in a temperature which is above room temperature. Above room temperature is always recommended. Now, as a mother, you always have to observe your baby. Observe the changes in because this stage, the neonatal stage, is very critical. Look at that baby. Observe that baby. How is the color of the baby? Is the baby overcrying? Is the baby oversleeping? Is the baby overturning the body? All of those are signs that something is wrong. You should know that the only way the baby expresses their feelings is through crying. That's the only way they can express their feeling, or shaking and turning their bodies. They cannot speak. So you must use your third senses as a mother, as a care provider, as a caretaker to say something is wrong with this baby. So you must observe that baby. Daily observe the baby. And cleanliness is extremely important for the mother, especially because this baby is fragile. Remember, this baby is coming from a completely sterile environment and is getting into a world where everything about us is, I would say, germs, microorganisms. If we were giving a microscopic eye, you would not want to live out of the uterus because everywhere you have a lot of microorganisms, germs everywhere. So this baby is very, very, how would I put it? This baby is fragile. It's very fragile, you know. Now, also you must know how to clean the baby. Cleaning, especially the navel where you had to decipher, the umbilical cord was deciphered. You must know how to clean it. And there we encourage that you clean it with alcohol, wet-based alcohol, you know, which is different from how a woman should clean her nipples. Usually when you want to breastfeed, you clean your nipples with distilled water, normal water at room temperature. You don't use alcohol, because if you use alcohol, that baby will inhale the alcohol and will be drunk. And when that baby inhales alcohol and is drunk, the baby slips off. And you say, my baby has a problem. No, your baby doesn't have a problem. You just used alcohol to clean your nipples. So you use distilled water. But for the umbilical cord or for the umbilicus, you use alcohol to wipe the umbilicus. Because again, you should know that that can create infection for the baby. So all of this is just to show you how you care for the baby, you know, as a healthcare provider, or as a parent, or as a caregiver, or as a caretaker. And babies have different states. As I told you, the care you provide for a premature baby is different from the care you provide to a normal baby. So the cares differ based on the state of the baby. Provide warmth. I cannot overemphasize on this. The baby needs warmth. The baby has to be in a warm environment or temperature. So provide warmth for the baby. And the best thing is for the mother to always hold the baby to herself, because that improves the bond between the mother and the baby. These are all ways in which you can wrap your baby. You know, you're just here is just to show you how you can wrap the baby, you know, to provide more warmth for the baby. Now, all of this is on breastfeeding. This is also very important. Breastfeeding preparation and breastfeeding techniques. As I told you, most postpartum women complain that their nipples pain when they breastfeed the baby. It is due to wrong positioning. Their arms hurt when they breastfeed the baby. Their leg hurt when they breastfeed the baby. It is due to wrong positioning. So, these are the various positions through which you can breastfeed the baby. If you have a twin baby, this is how you breastfeed. Now, what is most important here is how you hold the baby. Usually, the side which you want to breastfeed the baby, if you're breastfeeding the baby on the left, you hold the baby with your left hand. And all your nipple is supposed to enter into the baby's mouth completely, and not just the tip. If the tip enters, you will feel pain when the baby is sucking. Now, you also have physical care. Physical care has to do with how clean is the baby. You know, do you clean your baby? Do you take care of your baby? Do you take the weight of your baby? So all of this again is more on care. Now, there's a very important aspect for the baby. It is called vaccination. Usually, after delivery, there are things we give to a postpartum woman called postpartum counseling. Postpartum counseling. Postpartum counseling is very important for the woman because it tells her how to take care of her baby. And in postpartum counseling, we talk to the woman about herself, how to clean herself, how to clean the baby, vaccination of the baby, how to reintegrate her into the society, because some women go into postpartum depression after delivery. They don't want the baby. They don't want to see the baby. They are stigmatized. They feel traumatized. It is called postpartum depression. We have to counsel the woman. We have to integrate the woman back into society where she was, you know. But there's a very important aspect for the baby, which is called immunization. Immunization is vaccinating the baby. Various countries have different calendars for immunization. But basically, you want to prevent your baby from common diseases, infections, ranging from virus to bacteria to parasites. And so vaccination will boost the immunity of the baby. And most important at birth is the BCG vaccine. It is very important. Usually what we do is that we give a document, a calendar to the mother and said, this is the vaccination calendar of your baby. You will have to follow this process for your baby to grow healthily. So you must make sure that you respect these dates, because each vaccine has a particular disease it is preventing. Just like we now have COVID-19 that helps us, the vaccine against COVID-19. Unfortunately, we have many vaccines for COVID-19. But originally, every vaccine targets a particular disease. And this is the national immunization schedule. It might not be the same, it might differ from country to country, but all these vaccines are taken into consideration because they protect the child from yellow fever to meningitis to hepatitis to measles to all the diseases, smallpox, chickenpox, all the common diseases, hepatitis B, which is very infectious and which many people ignore, but it is very infectious. Now, I want to really stress on this because it is what leads us usually to what we call harmful practices based on our tradition and our culture. They are harmful traditional practices for the care of neonates. Harmful. First thing, some people take sand, mud, and put on the umbilicus. They put mud there, or sand to say it will push back. It would favor early healing, and it will push back. If the baby had a big navel, it will push it back. It is very wrong. Now, you also have to look at minor disorders. Some babies are born with an open tail. They are born with an open back. The back is open. It is called spina bifida. And spina bifida occurs when the mother during pregnancy did not take folic acid. As simple as folic acid is, many women refuse to take it. And you deliver your baby with this defect of spina bifida, this congenital defect called spina bifida. Some other babies can be very yellowish, extremely yellowish. That again is a disorder in bilirubin production. Sometimes it could be normal, sometimes it could be a disorder. And that is why it's important that that baby must be well examined. Now, you also have stuffy nose babies, where the baby's nose is stuffy. And there, as a mother, you must know how to, take care of these. And what are some of the causes of a baby's stuffy nose? Dry air. You have irritants, allergies, infections, foreign bodies, enlarged adenoids. As I told you, a baby at this stage needs critical care, needs close monitoring. Very important. Close monitoring. You must monitor this baby because this baby is very fragile. So the slightest changes in this baby, you must notify a healthcare provider because that baby could be going through some problems which can cause complications. So within the first 100 days of life of a baby, you have common infections which the baby could have. 1, meningitis. 2, severe malaria. We live in sub-Saharan Africa, malaria is one of the major causes of neonatal mortality. Malaria. Severe malaria kills a lot. That is why most ministries of health in most countries have made treatment of severe malaria for babies under 5 free of charge. Because in sub-Saharan Africa, especially in West and Central Africa, it's the number one killer in newborns and babies, severe malaria. You know, meningitis also kills a lot. Meningitis, where the baby has a stiff neck, the baby's temperature increases. That is why, as a mother, as a caregiver, you must always check the baby's temperature. How is the baby's temperature? Has it increased? Has it decreased? Because there must be a stable temperature for that baby. Usually it is between 36 to about 37.5. Above 37.5, 38, there's a problem. 38, you have low-grade fever. Because the baby is warm, you could confuse between a normal temperature and an abnormal temperature. But usually when you go above 38.5 for a baby, it is abnormal. So you must notify a healthcare provider. So I think I have given the basics about the newborn and the first 100 days of life. But again, as I said, I really want this to be very interactive and to understand what your questions may be, what you may have as questions. Of course, we can discuss, we can exchange, we can share knowledge. If you have comments, of course, you're free. So thank you very much for your kind attention. I hope you were able to understand some concepts about the newborn baby, about early neonatal period and late neonatal period. Thank you very much, and over to you, Charity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eno, for that presentation. I believe everyone has learned something. Now, I think it's we can have questions and any clarifications or any other thing you think you want to be informed of. Just feel free to ask. You can raise your hand, you can type in the chat box, or you can just unmute. Yeah. Anyone with a question, you're welcome. Or clarification, feel free.
Yes, I see a hand from Teresa.
Okay, so based on what you have taught us, it's fit to say that the first 100 days of a baby, the care you have given us is fit for a healthy baby, and there will be a different kind of care for a baby who is not healthy.
Yes, I would say yes, because usually the first 100 days of a baby is really developmental. It's really the stage where that baby tries to adapt to the new environment, and it's a very critical period of a baby. So what I have given is a care of this baby for the first 100 days. And as I said, the critical aspects within this period, mostly: 1, hygiene; 2, breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is critical. Hygiene is very critical. 3, vaccination. Very, very important. You know, all of these are the 3 major things for the baby: breastfeeding, hygiene, vaccination. If you follow these 3 things critically, this baby will grow. This baby will develop well. You know, so just to answer your question, yes, indeed, the first 100 days require some very close follow-up of this baby. It's interesting how God has made it that even babies who are neglected to some extent can thrive, but under very hard circumstances. But those are very rare cases, because for the first 100 days, if a baby is not well monitored, a lot of things can go wrong, and you can have a lot of complications. Yeah? So that's it. You can always come back if you need more clarifications.
Okay, thank you.
So I get another question from Alice. What can make a baby to stop breastfeeding gradually? Like I had a friend of mine, the baby was 1 week old and just stopped breastfeeding on her own. When a baby stops breastfeeding, something is wrong. A baby born is adapted to breast milk. That is what the baby learns to do. It's a learning process. As a mother, you give your breast to the baby, you teach the baby. Okay? So as a mother, you teach your baby how to take breast milk. So usually that baby is adapted to breast milk. That is what the baby wants. If that baby stops or refuses breast milk, that baby is having an issue. So you must seek care or a healthcare provider. Either that baby has, what we call torticollitis, where you have the abdomen, the baby's abdomen is disturbing, the baby has some pains, and the baby refuses to suck. But there is definitely a problem. So you must seek a care once the baby refuses breast milk. Okay. There is another question from Michelle. My neighbor's kid was born well, but after a few months, his neck started shaking vigorously. I have never known what caused it. Though they were spiritual parents, the baby was prayed over and healed. Question is, was that a medical condition or? Of course, everything can be explained medically. Everything, just so you should know, everything can be explained medically. And there are many causes. There are many things that could cause a baby's neck to shake vigorously. You could have issues like meningitis, where the baby has a stiff neck. A stiff neck means the baby's neck is not like, it's just like that, a stiff neck. And once you want to touch that neck of the baby cries because of pain. You have meningitis. Malaria, severe malaria could cause a stiff neck and could even cause convulsions. Convulsions are just episodes of seizures. So you could have, in Africa, most cultures, they call it epilepsy. My child is falling epilepsy. And epilepsy or convulsions could come due to complications, like from severe malaria, you could have seizures, or convulsions. From meningitis, you could have seizures. So seizures are not only genetic issues. You could have a cerebral problem, a congenital problem that could cause a seizure. But usually, if the baby's neck is shaking vigorously, there is a problem. And many things could explain the cause of it. But usually, you must seek health care. You must seek the services of a healthcare provider, a competent healthcare provider. Because babies, as I told you, they are very small and they need critical care. So, usually, it's not everything which is spiritual. There are things which can be explained medically. But just ignorance could make people feel that it's spiritual. I am not underestimating the power of spirituality. I know Africans will always talk about spiritual issues. But everything medical, everything about a human being, biological, can be explained medically. Because that baby was conceived through the normal process, not through some spiritual process like Jesus Christ for Christians, but through the normal process. And so it should be explained medically, So I hope I have been able to answer your question, Michelle. But if not, of course, always come back to ask the question. Is there a condition where a baby breastfeeds then vomits up each time? And what leads to that? Yes. A baby could breastfeed and vomit. It's possible. Now, that it could be normal and it could be abnormal. Usually, at times, mothers just want to force their baby to take breast milk. Meanwhile, the baby is full. So usually, when the baby is full, the baby pushes out the breast or spits out the milk. But also, if the baby is sick, the baby vomits. Vomiting comes through an underlying condition. Vomiting comes from an underlying condition. Vomiting is a symptom. And that symptom means there's a particular problem. Also, you should know that babies, when they are being born, their bowels are different from the bowels of an adult. And so, they could have bowel irritable syndrome. So this breast milk irritates the bowels and causes, this baby to vomit. So it could just be a bowel irritable syndrome, but it could also be an underlying condition which makes the baby to vomit. So we must be able to do a scan, to scan the baby's abdomen to make sure that, okay, this baby is fine, there's no underlying condition. But usually when the baby vomits, you must be able to differentiate, is this normal or is this abnormal? And usually you should know the difference between spit and vomiting. Because usually some babies don't even swallow the breast milk, they spit it back out. But others swallow and then they vomit it. And you will see the difference on the color. The color will tell you if that milk has gone to the abdomen or not. It's like food. Food which is spitted out is different from food which is vomited. Okay, there is another question I see. My niece is 1 year, 2 months. She can stand but can't walk. What is the problem? First thing, don't force a baby to walk. Some babies take time to start walking. Some take time. Some start walking at even 3 years, 4 years. And some start walking as early as 1 year, 2 months. Some take time. But others, there is an underlying condition, a paralysis. And that is why you must always take your baby for checkup. During the vaccination calendar of the baby, each time you go for vaccination, let a pediatrician or a nurse, or a medical doctor examine your baby and make sure your baby is fine. Because there's what we call developmental stages of a baby. We assess the developmental stage of a baby to determine if this baby is fine or if this baby is not fine. So usually, you would know if it's a paralysis or not, because some people have paralysis. And paralysis can be due to issues like poliomyelitis. Poliomyelitis could cause a paralysis. Maybe could have a cerebral palsy that could cause the baby not to walk. But at times, it could still be normal that baby is just slow to walk. And the baby, you will realize that such babies, they will stand at their own time and they will walk when you least expect it. So you have to know, is that baby normal? At, 1 year, 2 months. This baby is still very young. Don't force the baby. At 1 year, 2 months, come on. Let the baby even rest now. You want the baby to start walking to where? Let the baby rest. If the baby can crawl, as I said, there are developmental stages. The baby can be able to sit. The baby can be able to crawl and creep. The baby starts taking steps, and the baby walks. There are developmental stages. So is the baby following these developmental stages? Can that baby sit? Can that baby crawl and creep? If yes, then fine. If no, there is a problem. So you must follow these stages and be sure that this baby follows the normal developmental stages. So at 1 year, 2 months, don't force this baby. This baby is still struggling. It's still struggling with the pain and sufferings of life. So give this baby some time. If not, take the baby to a healthcare provider to get more advice. But I'm sure this baby is very fine. Okay, Faith? Okay, fine. I don't know if there are other questions, but keep them coming. You could also go as far as to the mother, not only the baby. Care of the newborn is not only for the baby, it's also for the mother. So you can also ask about the mother. If you have any questions, feel free to ask your question. It could also be on reproductive health, on sexual health, whatever it is, just feel free to ask. Then if not, I would say you guys are very, very good participants. Very happy, because usually in class when there are no questions, I'm very happy. Can coughing and vomiting be a sign of oral thrush in a baby? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Oral thrush could not necessarily, coughing and vomiting could not mean oral thrush. Coughing and vomiting. Of course, coughing is a reflex. One thing you should know is coughing is a reflex. When you swallow spit and probably it passes through your airways, you remember that each time you are talking while you're eating, there are times food could pass from, at the level of your throat, you have a place called the epiglottis. It separates actually your abdomen, the tract that leaves from your esophagus to your abdomen, then the one that goes to your respiratory airways. So it does this. It opens, it closes. It opens, it closes. When you're eating, it opens. No, when you're eating, it closes, because the one that closes is the one that goes to your respiratory, to your airways. So when you're eating, it closes for food to pass through and goes to your esophagus and you swallow. But if you're eating and talking, what happens? It tries to open for airway to pass and food passes. What happens? They say you choke. And when you choke, the first reflex is that what? You cough. So cough is a reflex. I want you to understand that very importantly. Cough does not necessarily mean a problem or an infection. No. Cough is a reflex. Cough becomes an infection when it is chronic. It becomes an infection when it becomes regular, consistent. You just sit down and you're coughing. Something is wrong. And so, as I said, in medicine, we don't use one symptom for a particular disease. We do what we call syndromize. We combine signs and symptoms together to have a particular diagnostic impression. So you cannot tell me, doctor, I am coughing, and I tell you you have TB, you have bronchitis, you have respiratory disease, you have obstructive pulmonary disease, you have this. No, it is not correct. I must be able to syndromize. What are the circumstances surrounding this cough? When does this cough happen? Is it in the night? Is it in the afternoon? Is there fever? Is there vomiting? You know, all of this will cause a particular syndrome or circumstance or state for me to confirm a particular diagnosis. So oral thrush will not, coughing and vomiting does not mean oral thrush necessarily. So it will need investigation. You know. So I'm trying to say this so that we don't run into conclusions. Usually we are fast to run into conclusions and we make things look very big. Meanwhile, they are very small things. They are very, very small. But we make them look, we amplify them in such a way that everyone is scared. Oh, the baby's coming to come and die. The baby will die. Oh, this. No, it's not. You have to make sure that you critically observe that baby. You look at the circumstances that surround the state of the baby before you have a judgment or a conclusion. And usually a doctor will tell you, based on my physical examination and the story you have given me, this is my impression. But I feel that we have to run this test to confirm my diagnosis. Because after consultation, the doctor will give the diagnostic impression based on his judgment, based on the signs and symptoms, and based on the circumstances that surround the symptoms. But at the end of the day, there is a definitive diagnosis based on the addition of the doctor's judgment, the circumstances, the past medical history, as well as paraclinical investigations to come up with a complete diagnosis. To say, this patient or this baby has meningitis, this baby has severe malaria, this baby has pulmonary infection, this baby has neonatal infection. All these, there must be circumstances through which you can make this definitive diagnosis. Okay, Alice is asking, there are certain babies born that aren't able to pass urinous stool. What condition is that and what causes that? Very good question. Very, very important question. When the baby is born, you must make sure you check all the cavities of this baby. Cavities means you want to check the nostrils of the baby. Is it open? You want to check the mouth, the oral cavity. You want to check the ears. You know, you want to check the anal cavity. You want to check because some babies are born with a closed anus, and it's a problem. It's a congenital malformation. Some babies are born without genitalia, without the vagina or without the penis. Some could be born with both. So you must, the care provider, the healthcare provider will check to make sure this is okay. But usually they even forget. And the mother will come back to say, doctor, my baby has not been able to stool for the past 3 days. The baby is taking breast milk. So what is the problem? The mother will realize that there is no stool. The mother will realize the baby is not passing out urine. Or the mother will realize that even if the baby is passing out urine, for most males, urine will instead be down. Instead of urine passing through the urethral opening of the penis, it comes back down. It's called hypospadia, where you have holes, the opening of the urethra is there down. It's a malformation. Babies are born with malformations. And there are various things that could explain congenital malformations. You should know that usually when a woman is pregnant, a lot of things happen during the development of a fetus. A lot of things. And that's why it's advisable that once a woman you're pregnant, limit alcohol intake. Limit smoke. Don't smoke. Don't take alcohol. Follow your antenatal consultations. As a matter of fact, it is key during the gestational period for a woman to follow her antenatal consultations. Go to the hospital. Check your blood pressure. Check your urine. You know, check all of these things. They are very critical for the well-being of this baby or of this fetus that is growing. Because some of these malformations come as a result of negligence in the part of the mother. It could be genetic. I don't dispute that fact. It could be genetic. But usually most will come for negligence. That is why it's important that the woman follows her antenatal consultations. Because if not, there are a lot of things that go wrong without you knowing. You could even be carrying a baby with Down syndrome. You know, a baby with hydrocephalus. You have a baby with a very big head. And you are pregnant. I'm pregnant. I'm happy. You stay at home. You only come when you have labor pains. For 9 months, you don't go to the hospital. What do you expect of that delivery? Because there has been no follow-up. Nobody knows the state of that baby. It is not for nothing that we do ultrasounds to know how the baby is doing, to check the amniotic fluid of the baby. Is the fluid normal? Is the fluid in excess? Is it low? Is it small? Is there small amniotic fluid? Very important. Okay, so next question. What are the common signs and symptoms of pneumonia in a child? Okay, so pneumonia is a respiratory infection. Respiratory infection. And usually, most of the times, it comes from a lower respiratory infection, because there are two types of respiratory infections. There's the upper respiratory tract infection and the lower respiratory tract infection. And now with a baby of pneumonia, a baby who has pneumonia will have difficulties in breathing. The baby will have difficulty. You will see the way the chest of the baby could be breathing with the mouth, and the chest of the baby could be going up and coming down. Difficulties in breathing. There is a problem. Because as I said, a baby does not speak. You must use your 10 senses to decipher what is wrong with the baby. So, you could have a baby that breathes heavily, have the respiratory sounds are not normal. Now, you can't know this. Only a doctor will know. When a doctor uses a stethoscope, the doctor will be able to put the stethoscope at the level of the chest of the baby, the respiratory cage of the baby, to listen to breath sounds. And there are different breath sounds that means different things. You know? From bronchi, you hear a breath sound like there's a problem. You hear wheezes, there's a problem. But physically, you could also have cough. You could have fever. That could mean a pneumonia. But usually with neonates, we don't say pneumonia, because it is difficult to say it is pneumonia. We say upper respiratory tract infection or lower respiratory tract infection. It is after paraclinical investigations, lab investigations, that you can conclude that indeed it could be a pneumonia. It could be a bronchiectasis. It could be an acute bronchitis. It could be a bronchiolitis. All of these are all respiratory tract infections that mean different things. Okay, what are the causative risk factors of postpartum depression? A very interesting question. Very, very nice question. Most women, especially primiparous women, primiparous means their first babies, they go into postpartum depression. It is a state where you don't want your baby. You don't want that baby. You say that this baby is not mine. Why am I putting to birth? You feel alone. You feel stigmatized. You feel abandoned. Some women go into this state. And what could cause this? One, you could have stigma from friends, from relatives, from support, from love. You know, your partner could not give you the support you need, and you could go through a depression. But also, it could just be a state of your mind. You could just be traumatized psychologically or mentally. Just for the process of you pushing that baby, it could traumatize you. God has made it in such a way that when a woman is in labor, the woman is in acute pain due to contraction of the uterus. But when the woman pushes out the baby, the woman becomes happy because the woman hears the cry of her baby. But it could be abnormal where the woman, instead of being happy that she's put to bed, she's instead sad. And it could just be the state of her mind. Or it could just be her environment. Or it could just be her peers. It could just be her loved ones. And not accommodating her. There are a lot of things that could make her to go into that postpartum depression. But usually, we must always counsel the woman to tell her it is very normal. It's a normal process. You have put to birth. This baby belongs to you. Take care of this baby. Love this baby. This baby needs your love. This baby is innocent. You know? Because this baby is innocent. Actually, the baby is innocent. Actually. And so you must provide this baby all the care and the love the baby needs. You know? Now, next question. Most of those with hypospadias are usually circumcised. Why? Wrong circumcision. Wrong circumcision could cause hypospadias. But not most. The term you saying most hypospadias are usually circumcised is not true. The baby is born with hypospadias. Not after circumcision, before circumcision. So, but hypospadia simply means that what? You have a different hole or opening for urine. Instead of it being at the tip of the penis, it comes down. You could have right down. And it's a defect. It's a defect in birth. It could also be a complication from circumcision, wrong circumcision, crude circumcision. Could cause hypospadias or a complication as hypospadias. But it is corrected surgically. We close the hole, we put the real orifice for urine to pass. It's corrected surgically. Okay. Children who have extruding umbilical cord, is it associated with cutting or healing process? A protruding umbilical cord is a very, very nice and beautiful question. It is not wrong cutting of the umbilical cord. No, it's not wrong. Don't go and blame the midwife or blame the doctor or blame the clinical officer that you cut my umbilical cord wrongly. So my baby now has a protruding umbilicus. A protruding umbilicus is what we call an umbilical hernia. It's called an umbilical hernia. And a hernia simply means that you have the protrusion of organs in a weakened surface. So usually, if the muscles that cover the abdomen are weak, what happens? Organs in the abdomen, the intestines, the bowels, pushes through that weakening. And when it pushes through that weakening, you have what we call a hernia. That is a hernia. And a hernia could be anywhere. That's why you have umbilical hernia, ventral hernia, inguinal hernia, epigastric hernia, post-surgical hernia. There are many kinds of hernia. So you see a baby with a very big navel or big umbilicus. It is called an umbilical hernia. So it simply means that organs of that baby in the abdomen is pushing out. And it could be a problem because you could have a hernia which is what? Which is there's a term I'm looking for. I just forgot that term. What happens is that normally when you have that protrusion and the organs push, usually they push and get back inside. They go out, come in, go out, come in, go out, come in. There is no problem. But there are times where it go in and hangs. When it hangs, you have a serious problem. That is when there's a serious problem. Because now you have tied the organs and there's no longer passage of blood vessels. And you could have destruction of the cells, the tissues around there. And you could have limited blood passage around there. Because you know, every organ in the body has blood vessels. Blood vessels of veins, arteries, capillaries, and various blood vessels that take blood, to and from the heart. So usually with umbilical hernias, some are very big, where they they are doing this, going in and coming out, there's no problem. But when it goes and it sticks, there's a problem. I just forgot the name, but you come as I speak. So that is what we call an umbilical hernia, and it is corrected surgically. You do a herniorrhaphy to correct an umbilical hernia. Now, next question. Is it possible that all children who have protruded umbilicus could be having an, of course. Yes, it is possible. That's what I'm just explaining. But usually you also have to check if there are any underlying conditions. But almost always, protruding umbilicus would be an umbilical hernia. Almost always. I was born with an umbilical hernia. Mine was very big. And you know, in those days, my parents used to use a very big coin. In Cameroon, I come from Cameroon, and we used to have a very big coin of 50 francs that they put there to cover the hole, take bandage, and bandage it in the name of the fact that when you do that, you know, it will close that hole. But mine was very big in such a way that organs will protrude, go in and go out. There's no problem. But when it goes, now the name has come, incarcerated hernia. That is the name I was looking for. When it comes and blocks, you have an incarceration. They're very, very dangerous. Deadly, as a matter of fact. So it's a very deadly issue. But when there is no problem, you're fine. It is not compulsory to go for a heniorrhaphy. As I said, I am currently living with an umbilical hernia. My hernia is so big in such a way that organs go in and come out, go in and come out, go in and come out. There's no problem. But there could be a problem when you have incarceration, where it goes and sticks. And you don't want to have that. They say in medicine, prevention is better than cure. So if you have a hernia, go for your heniorrhaphy. The doctor corrects it, and you can live your life. Don't wait for a complication of incarcerated hernia before you start running to the hospital to have a heniorrhaphy. You know, do your heniorrhaphy. Go for it. If you're fine, you go to meet a surgeon, a general surgeon, can help you and do that, you know, and they'll correct the hernia, you know. But if not, of course, with time you could have a complication, but it is not mandatory. I must make that clear. It is not mandatory. It's not compulsory. Okay, I see Ali say, yes, we do put coins on children with protruding umbilicus. Does it goes back to normal after pushing the coin for longer? Well, I hear, you know, in medicine, in sciences, we must have conventional and proven facts. Some people have said yes, it actually goes back down. But mine, as I tell you, mine is still protruding. Though my mother used coins for close to how many months, I don't know. Because as a matter of fact, as a baby, when I urinate, usually my urine will touch my umbilicus before it comes down. You know, one thing you should understand is that urination of a baby is like a tap. It's like a running tap. When the baby is lying down with the back, you know, at a supine position, urine goes up. You know, it forms a tap like that. You know, so usually my umbilicus was so big in such a way that my urine would touch the umbilicus. You can imagine how big it was. And my mother would use a coin, a big 50 francs coin, you know, in the name of saying that it will close. Of course, it did help because really it went down. Well, I would say that from experience, but I will not say it's a proven fact in medicine that it is conventional that all women that deliver children with a protruding umbilicus should start using coins, except we have a research. In medicine, we talk by research and conventional, globally accepted methods and facts. So we must be able to make a research to say, based on this research we carried out in Africa, in Eastern Africa, in Western Africa, we sampled 2,000 children or 200 children, and we used coins, you know, that had protruding umbilicus. From there, all these children, after about 6 months, their umbilicus went back down. So we are concluding that indeed use coins to bring down the umbilicus. You know, well, I can't say that as a clinician. I will not say that. You know, but it could work. It could happen. I hope I have answered you, Alice. I'm sure you might have tried it or you might have heard about it, but it could happen and it could not happen. But yeah, that's it. So I hope I have been able to, I have managed to answer your questions. If you have other questions, we still have about 30 minutes, but the earlier the better, so that all of us can sleep well for those who are in East Africa. But yeah, I think I've managed to answer all the questions, except you have other questions. Please keep them coming, and let's just, you could also share your ideas on what you know. You know, I see people talking, Alice seems to be very knowledgeable, talking about heniorrhaphies, you know, umbilical hernias. Yes, keep your questions coming, you know, let's just discuss and interact, you know. Okay. Are the questions finished? Thank you very much, Ezekiel. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure for me to share on the healthcare globally, generally. But I always like talking about sexual and reproductive health. You know, my passion is all about the vagina and the penis. If you're talking about the vagina and the penis, I'm so interested. That's my passion. As a matter of fact, all my days in med school and training as a clinician, I just love everything about reproductive health. So it's a good thing and always a pleasure to share on that. What happens when you don't apply toe on a baby's eyes? What's toe? Do you want to expand on the meaning of toe? TEO. Alice. Tetracycline. Now you're talking. Okay, fine. What happens when you don't apply? Yeah, of course I understand the ointment. That's fine. Now, well, nothing happens. Actually, nothing happens. Usually, what we is just advisable. Pediatricians will tell you it's advisable to apply tetracycline ointment on the baby's eyes, to improve vision, to fight infection, and this usually happens for prolonged labor. Because usually in prolonged labor, this baby is swimming in the amniotic fluid. And also the baby's head, usually during bearing down, the baby's head is always down. So what happens is that the baby could have an infection from the amniotic fluid, an eye infection. But there is no complication that comes from the fact that the baby was not giving tetracycline ointment. As a matter of fact, there are other antibiotics. It's just what we call a preventive measure. It's given as a prophylactic measure. But it doesn't mean that except there is a problem. And usually also women that have venereal diseases, suspicion of venereal diseases could be given, the babies could be given tetracycline. Diseases like hepatitis, STIs in general, you always want to give tetracycline as a prophylactic measure to help that baby with vision. But there is no complication if tetracycline is not given. And there are many other things you give, not only tetracycline. It just depends on the clinician. They could give other things apart from tetracycline. Yeah. But, well, it's a prophylactic measure based on the state of delivery. Some deliveries are very infectious. The baby spends a longer, and as a clinician, you want to make sure that the baby's head comes out. So it could be swimming the baby's head into the amniotic fluid and all of that, and that could cause an infection for the baby. Why should you use tetracycline ointment for babies and not droplets? Okay, very important. It could irritate. It could be irritating for the baby. The droplets could be irritating for the baby. That's why you prefer the ointment. Okay, so it could irritate the baby's eyes. Now you should know that usually tetracycline is an antibiotic, not limited only to babies. It goes also to adults, just like gentamicin. So you want to be sure that there are no adverse side effects for this on the baby. So you want to use the ointment, not the droplet. But as I said, it is not compulsory, and there are different kinds of prophylactic antibiotics, visual antibiotics, which is being given, to the baby, not only the tetracycline. And you ask pediatricians will tell you, again, in medicine, every clinician will give you their reason, which is valid. A pediatrician will tell you something which is different from what gynecologists will tell you, which is different from what a GP will tell you. But usually, what does the pediatrician say? They are specialists in that. I'm not a pediatrician. But mostly they will tell you, for prophylaxis, we give tetracycline ointment. Yeah. Okay. Yes, guys, keep your questions coming. Yeah. So I think from now, all women who have not yet, all females who have not yet put to birth, can happily want to become pregnant. Happily want to become pregnant. Pregnancy and labor and delivery is a choice. I am very pro-choice. It's a choice. Regardless of what your partner is telling you, if you feel as you want to get pregnant, of course, I feel that from this lecture or from this session, we are able to happily get pregnant and put to bed and joyfully carry our babies. Because there's a feeling you have as a mother, which women that have not put to bed don't have. It's a different kind of a feeling. So, well, I'm not pushing people to go and get pregnant if they don't want to, if they're not ready for it, because it's a whole process. So yeah, just saying that I hope you have understood. Yes, Ezekiel, it's funny, but I hope you have understood the session, and to some extent know how to care for your. Yes, Michelle, of course, happily get pregnant. Of course, you should happily get pregnant. Pregnancy does not come by error. No pregnancy should come by error. Any pregnancy that comes by error, you have a problem. You're lacking what we call CSE, Comprehensive Sexuality Education. If your pregnancy comes by error, you have a problem. No pregnancy should come. You should be ready for every pregnancy. So you and your partner should master your reproductive organs. You should know when you're safe. If not, you should know how to make sure you want to avoid any pregnancy. Actually, our problem with not being pregnant happily is the fact that we miss a level, and that level is CSE, Comprehensive Sexuality Education. We're not taught. We don't know. We are ignorant. So when you hear people say it happened by accident. How accident now? What kind of accident? How did it happen by accident? Because if you're fertile and you have a desire for sex, of course there are a lot of protective measures you can use to avoid pregnancy. So you should be aware of what is happening. If you are not aware, then you lack knowledge and understanding on CSE. So that's why I said you have to happily get pregnant. You get pregnant happily. It's yes. Okay, Katil, what is the major cause of jaundice in newborns? Is it majority related to diet of a pregnant woman? No. Majority is not related to diet. Actually, jaundice, as I said, could be normal and it could be abnormal. The abnormal one will come from a production of bilirubin. Everything happens within the liver, and there are levels. There are levels of jaundice. You have pre, within the liver, and post. So you have pre-hepatic bilirubin, which is produced. You have hepatic bilirubin, and you have post-hepatic bilirubin. Usually, it comes from a complication in the liver, and that is within the period of development within the fetus or within the uterus. So it's not necessarily because of the woman's diet. It has nothing to do with the diet. Diet cannot cause the baby to become very yellowish. No. It could influence, but it's not the major cause of jaundice in newborns. Yeah. It has to do with bilirubin production. And it could be pre-hepatic, hepatic, or post-hepatic bilirubin that could lead to jaundice, a complication of that could lead to jaundice. Yeah. I feel like though I'm in med school giving lectures to medical students because I'm trying to make myself understood, so I have to go a little bit deep, for you to catch the sense in it. Because the most important thing at the end of the day is to understand, Yeah, guys. Any other questions? Is it true that applying charcoal on the baby's cut acts as an alternative chlorhexidine in care management? Oh, charcoal, as I said again, all these are beliefs. It could be true, it could not be true. I will not want to fall in your trap to say it is true. Because it's a trap you're setting for me. But it could be true, it could not be true. Charcoal has been proven to be somehow sterile and somehow antibiotic related. Somehow not antibiotic, somehow as a cleansing. There's a word I'm looking for. Antiseptic. Voila, that's the word I was looking for. Antiseptic. Well, some people say it's antiseptic. It has some antiseptic properties. Some people say. But I will not say with all assurance that indeed charcoal takes the place of chlorhexidine in cut care management. It could be, but yes, it could be. Because many cases when people have used charcoal, You know, all of this happens in low resource setting, where we don't have the available means. I have worked where I used a razor blade to decipher the umbilical cord. Yes. I have worked where I had to use a rubber band. This rubber band where ladies used to tie their hair. I used it and tie the umbilical cord to decipher it with a razor blade. Yes, there are settings like that. Where you are in a bush, you see how people are suffering without the delivery kit. What do? You have to devise other means. I have worked where I use whiskey as a sterile, as alcohol to sterilize instruments. All of that happens when you're in the rural community. That's when you know the real medicine. So this your medicine you're telling me now, it's in the rural communities where we lack resources. It happens, you know. How easily can acupuncture therapies lead to miscarriage? Acupuncture therapies lead to miscarriage. Not quite often. Not very often. I would not say there is a link. It depends on where the acupuncture is done, but I wouldn't say there is a link between acupuncture and miscarriage. Not proven. Not proven scientifically. Okay, what is the best treatment? Okay, this is colic pains, exactly. I was talking about bowel irritable syndrome and colic pains. That's what I was looking for, colic pains, where the baby turns, the baby and turns the body. So what is the best treatment for colic pains? Of course, it depends on the cause of the colic pains. Is it infectious? Based on the cause, then you will provide treatment. If it's infectious, antibiotics will solve the problem. But breast milk too could solve the problem. Just simple breast milk could solve colic pains. Also, you could have a massage for that baby. Could solve the problem. Usually, you have to massage the baby when you're bathing the baby to aid digestion and passage of food. Because as I told you, the bowels of that baby is developing and is adapting to breast milk. Breast milk is so surprising for the bowels, for the intestines. So you could have colic pain. The baby could have colic pain. But usually, if it's infectious, then you would give antibiotics. If not, you could just use non-pharmacological methods to solve that, to resolve that problem. From massage, to bathing the baby, to aid digestion. Yeah. Okay, but again, mothers are very innovative. I forgot telling you that mothers are very innovative. They devise all methods to help their babies, and they are the first people to realize something is wrong with the baby. And they have devised all kinds. If you hear what mothers tell you, what they do to stop, they're even more than pediatricians. In fact, mothers are the best pediatricians for their babies because they devise methods to help their babies. And they give some kind of concoctions, based on what their aunt or their grandmother or their friend had told them, Some will give other things. By the end of the day, always go with what is recommended. Always go with what is recommended. It's very important. Don't give what you don't know to your child, because it could either go and cause another complication, which could be fatal for that baby. Yeah? Grape water also works. Exactly, grape water. Some people are talking about grape water. Again, yes, grape water works. I accept. But we have to be careful about the grape water as well. Not to give it too much, because too much of it could cause a problem. But of course, that could work as well. Yeah. These are all non-pharmacological methods, to solve colic pains. Yeah, guys. Charity, are you still with me?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Thank you. I just want to make sure that you're on standby. Okay. Okay, guys. If there are no other questions, I want to thank you very much. What about Bonisan? What about Bonisan? What's Bonisan? Jeria, come up. Unmute yourself and talk to me about Borisian. Are you there? Jeria? Of course, I said we are learning. Let's discuss this case. This is a very important, interesting word you have come up with. Jeria, come, let's talk about Bonisan. Can you unmute yourself, please? Okay. They say it relieves colic pain. Okay, if that's a medication, I thought it was a particular condition. I didn't know it was a medication. I'm not a pharma company. I don't produce drugs. So, well, if it relieves pain, that is fine. I didn't know. I don't know about Bonisan, but of course, pediatricians will know more about those drugs for babies. Definitely, pediatricians will know. If we are coming to reproductive health, STIs, that is where I would know. But I'm not a pharma company. If Bonisan is there to relieve colic pain, okay, that's fine. I thought maybe probably it was a pathology I've never heard of. That's why I really wanted you to come up and talk about it. But okay, if you say it's a medication, then good and fine. Okay, I will have to check up on that as well. It's a good thing we are all learning. Yeah. Okay, guys. So thank you very much for your time, for staying through this presentation. It's always a pleasure to talk about care for the newborn as well as sexual and reproductive health. So thank you very much. I will now hand over to Charity. Charity, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eno, for your presentation and for answering those questions. And also thanks to everyone in the meeting, all those who have asked questions. You've made the session at least quite interactive, and I hope we implement what we've learned and be happy doing what we do. I think with that we can end the meeting there. Yeah, and everyone have a good night.